2023 is going to be an epic year to start a SaaS business. The dream of AI is truer than ever. Companies are going to be looking for unfair advantages to do more with less. This is where software really shines. And on top of that, it's more accessible than ever to actually build a SaaS business and get distribution. It's massive. The market is massive. But here's the big question though. What are the biggest opportunities in SaaS for 2023? On this episode, I'm going to walk you through 3 big SaaS ideas for 2023 that you can steal. I'm also going to back it up with the core principles I've used based on my 15 years of experience in SaaS to come to these ideas. And by the end of this episode, you'll either be able to use one of these ideas and pursue them, you'll be inspired by them, or you'll be able to use the principles to hone in and tweak the idea you're already working on. And when you follow these principles, you will be able to accelerate your path to the next stage of growth and build an incredible SaaS business. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help SaaS founders like you grow your SaaS business faster with an unstoppable strategy. Now, if you're new to this channel, welcome. I drop an episode every single Sunday with actionable strategies and tactics from the trenches on how to grow your SaaS business faster. So if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon. That way you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode with the TK energy. And if you're already part of this community, if you're part of this channel, if you're part of my SaaS go-to-market coaching programs, people, welcome back. It's really awesome to see you over here. So I've been in SaaS for the last 15 years. It's starting to get to a bigger number and I'm not quite ready to come to terms with it. Just kind of like how I'm turning 40 this year and I'm not ready to talk about that yet, but I'll get to it. But anyway, I've had a ton of experience. I've built companies, I've exited companies, I've helped grow companies in these 15 to 20 years in SaaS. And what I've noticed is SaaS has gone through 3 distinct evolutions. The first stage that SaaS went through was, hey, here's cloud software. Stop using the on-premise software, stop paying upfront for that software, just pay us monthly and use our cloud software. That was the first stage. The second stage became where cloud was table stakes. We stopped calling it cloud, we started calling it SaaS, and we said, hey, here's our SaaS software that's in the cloud. You can pay monthly, you can pay yearly, whatever works for you, and it integrates with all of your other cloud applications. And that became the big thing where everything just worked seamlessly. Now, that's table stakes also. SaaS is expected to be in the cloud, SaaS is expected to be on a subscription basis, SaaS is expected to integrate with all your other tools seamlessly. Table stakes. Now we're entering this third stage where SaaS integrates, runs in the cloud, is on a subscription basis, and on top of that, it does your job for you. With the advent of ChatGPT, with AI, we're finally starting to see the picture of what this next stage of SaaS is gonna look like. Let's call it SaaS 3.0. And in this stage, there are incredible opportunities that exist today to build incredible SaaS businesses. So based on that premise and based on all of my experience in building SaaS companies, scaling SaaS companies, exiting SaaS companies, today I'm gonna walk you through 3 core SaaS ideas that you can steal, you're welcome to steal, for 2023 that I think is gonna be huge. And on top of that, I'm gonna back these ideas up with core principles that I'm applying on why these ideas are going to be huge. So if you're excited to dig into idea number 1 and the premise behind all this and how I came to these conclusions, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It really likes it when you do that. Let's dig right into it. So the first thing I'm gonna walk you through is, and I've done SaaS ideas videos before, and I've explained this, I'll link to them below, you don't have to go anywhere right now. My core principle is that there's essentially 3 golden types of SaaS businesses, and this is gonna hold true for SaaS 3.0. The first type is your system of decision. Systems of decision are your analytics tools, they're your BI tools. This is where these things chew up a bunch of data and gives you graphs, charts, dashboards, and helps you make decisions about how to do your job. System of decision is one of the core golden types of SaaS companies. The second type is your system of engagement. I know systems of engagement really well because my last SaaS company was in the sales engagement space. TowDapp, my last company, was backed by Andreessen Horowitz. We pioneered the sales engagement space. It was bought by Marketo, which pioneered the marketing engagement space. So systems of engagement is where you do your work. You log in every day and you actually do your work inside of these tools. And the third golden type of SaaS is your system of record. The easiest way to think of a system of record, it's your finance system, like QuickBooks. It's your CRM system, like Salesforce or HubSpot. It's your accounting system. It's your customer support system. These are systems of record. This is where you write down critical pieces of information, regardless of whether you do work inside of them or not. CRM is a great example. You do a bunch of work, you meet with clients, you sell them on it, and then you come back to the CRM and you write down, hey, here's where the deal is at, and here's what we need to do next. Those are systems of record. And traditionally, the way the SaaS businesses have grown is systems of record have been the most valuable, systems of engagement have been the second most valuable, and systems of decision have been the third most valuable. The reason for this is because software as a service is subscription-based. When you have a system of record, it ends up being core to every department and how a company runs. They're harder to rip out. And so those subscription values are inherently higher. Whereas when you have a system of engagement, it sits on top of the system of record. So it's kind of easier to switch between tools. In sales engagement, you could be using Outreach today, SalesLoft tomorrow if you really wanted to. It's not that much of a problem versus trying to switch out your CRM. And systems of decision are the easiest to switch. Every company every year is like, hey, here's the new shiny dashboard tool that we want to use, and they can easily switch, which is why they're less valuable. That's kind of principle number 0, and that's one of the key principles I'll be using to talk about these 3 big SaaS ideas. I've found that when you understand these 3 golden types of SaaS businesses, you start to understand what kind of company you're really building and what the roadmap should look like and how you should sell it and what integrations you need to do. If you go into it blind and you can't identify exactly which of these buckets you fall into, then chances are you're not going to be successful. So principle number 0 is like, hey, just understand the 3 golden types of SaaS, and I'm going to tether the 3 ideas I'm going to give you based on these 3 principles. Now, let's go into idea number 1. Out of the 3 big SaaS ideas of 2023, I'm going to go into idea number 1, which is a system of decision. One of my most favorite systems of decision is Stack Overflow. This is sort of a SaaS tool. You can think of Google under this. You can think of Quora. I go to these tools to get answers to my questions and then make decisions. So what I do is 1, I search for questions. 2, I pick the best answer. And then I go do it. This is kind of how it works today. And they're incredible companies. Google is the most valuable company out there. You literally go search, you choose a resolution, and then you go make a decision. I actually think more about Stack Overflow and Quora rather than Google because Google is a lot more, which is why it's much more valuable. It's a much more valuable company. They actually fall in the system of record. But Stack Overflow and Quora are 2 cases where I think of them as decision tools. You kind of go to them on specific cases. You don't live in them. You don't do your work in them. But you make decisions based on the results that come out of these 2 tools. So what I think is going to be a big idea for 2023 is to flip this model. The big transition that's going to happen in SaaS for 2023 is instead of it giving you some things you can do, it does it for you. So there's this idea of just do it for me that's going to be part of SaaS 3.0, and particularly in 2023. So you can imagine that a great SaaS company will be able to mine all of the data of Stack Overflow and all of the data of Quora. And just kind of like how ChatGPT-3 basically mined the entire universe and can answer questions about anything, you can create niche versions of ChatGPT-3 just based on these niche data sets. So instead of searching for questions, picking an answer and going and doing it, you can just say ask question and you can get answer. And you can even say just do it for me. And it could do it. Now, in the scale of ChatGPT-3, where it's trying to be everything and mine the entire world's data, it is very hard. It may take some time to get there. However, if you create a more specific SaaS solution where it focuses on a specific domain, let's just say this particular ChatGPT-3 version that you're creating only knows about sales. specifically sales in terms of your company. So it looks at all the knowledge, all the transcripts that exist for sales calls, all the outcomes, and you can ask it a question like, what's the best case study to send to this customer? And you list a customer, and it gives you the answer. That's a very specific version of ChatGPT-3 that you could build. Similarly, let's just say you mine all the data that exists for Stack Overflow. And then you can say, hey, you hook it up and you set it up and you say, hey, here's the question I have. I want to know how to actually integrate between Salesforce and my SaaS product. And because it knows Stack Overflow, it can actually find the best question and the best answer and give the right results. This is very surface level, and it's designed to be because you can't go into too many details on each of these, but it starts to open you up to the idea of, hey, before it was searching and then picking and then going and doing it, whereas now it's going to be about asking and getting an answer, and then maybe hitting a button that says, go do it for me. And while it may be very difficult to start a brand new company that competes with OpenAI, they've been at this for years, and it may be very resource intensive, you could think about it in a domain specific way and creating the next evolution of SaaS for these kind of companies. And you can start to see how it changes the paradigm of how systems of decision work. Instead of it just analyzing a bunch of data and helping you query it and then make decisions on your own, it actually consumes all that data, builds a model around that data, and then can start to answer questions for you, and then maybe even hitting a button to hook into your sales engagement tool or your system of engagement to go do it for you. So for example, if you were to build the system of decision around sales, you could say, hey, Sales Genie, what is the best case study to send to this customer I just had a call with? And that model could actually analyze the data and say, hey, this is the best case study. And the button could be send case study. When you hit it, it automatically emails it out for you. You can start to see how SaaS 2.0 was just integrating with all the tools and showing you all the data and saying, here's the case study, here's the button to hit, where SaaS 3.0 is like, it'll just do it for you. It'll get the answer for you. And that's the shift. And that's why this is a very big idea for 2023 for any domain that you go into. Okay, so that's idea number one. Let's go to idea number two. Idea number two is thinking in terms of systems of engagement. Now remember, systems of engagement are tools where you do your work, you live in them. So in sales engagement, it's your outreach, your sales loft, your tout app, your Yesware, and the list goes on. There's like 200 sales engagement tools, and it's a $5.5 billion category right now. This is where you go in and you actually do your work inside of it, and it connects with all the other applications, and it runs the workflows, and it updates all the data, and it syncs all the data. This is systems of engagement. So one type of system of engagement that I've always liked is tools like Buffer, Hootsuite, and TweetDeck. These were your social media tools, and they were really popular in the past, and now they've kind of waned in popularity. And I think they're gonna make a comeback, which is why I think this is a big idea. And the way this worked with Buffer and everything else was you could basically go in and you could schedule content. It would then publish it for you at that scheduled time, and then you could analyze what worked and what didn't, and then go back in and schedule more content. This is how Buffer, Hootsuite, and TweetDeck pretty much works today still, right? They have not really changed or evolved. Remember, we're switching from this SaaS 2.0 to SaaS 3.0, where it's gonna be more about just do it for me, just give me the answer, right? It's less clicks, which is what everyone wants out of software. So you can imagine with something like a Buffer 3.0 or a Hootsuite 3.0 or a TweetDeck 3.0, a system of engagement where you're doing your work, this model shifts to figure out my best content that I've done already, write and schedule my next one. And again, you can start to see how it basically uses the same paradigm that we're starting to see with ChatGPT-3 and AI, which is, hey, instead of you doing the work and then me showing you a dashboard, I'm gonna go look at your best performing content. And then based on that best performing content, based on the metrics, I'm gonna suggest to you, here's the best next piece of content. And then I'll just schedule it for you and I'll tweet it out for you. And then I'll see how that does, and I'll keep evolving the model and doing more for you. That is another SaaS 3.0 idea where it just does it for you. And then you can always go in and you can curate, you can edit, you can tweak, and you can guide. And that way you end up being more of an orchestrator of what's going on versus the doer, which is how engagement tools work today. that's the second idea that I think is going to be huge in 2023. So if you're sitting there and you're like, hey, you know what? I used to use Buffer, or I used to use TweetDeck, or I used to use Hootsuite, whatever happened to those tools. Maybe I should go in and create the next version, the 3.0 version of these, where I change the engagement model from schedule, publish, analyze to, hey, give me all your content. I'm gonna figure out what works best. I'm gonna write you 5 more pieces of content, and you can go write and schedule it, and I'll take care of it for you, and you can always tweak it. You can start to see how this is gonna be a massive SaaS idea. Now, I have the third one for you, and this is the big money one. Let me pause here for a second. Are you starting to see the power in this? Are you starting to see the power of these SaaS ideas that are gonna be huge in 2023? Are you starting to see the power of these principles on how it kind of shrinks down the world of SaaS and helps you think about it conceptually and make decisions on exactly how you can compete? Are you starting to see the power in thinking about this before and after? What SaaS 2.0 was about and what SaaS 3.0 is gonna be about? If you're starting to see the power in this, can I just get a yes in the comments below? Also, smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It really likes it when you do that. And so do we. It just means the world to us. We put a lot of love into these videos and a lot of thought into these videos to make them impactful for you. Also, if you're in this stage where you're pre-revenue and you're looking to actually build and launch your SaaS business, then I encourage you to check out my 10-point SaaS business checklist. It's completely free. I'll tell you more about it at the end of this episode. I'll link to it below. You don't have to go anywhere right now, but make sure you grab a copy of that. It'll help you make sure that you're conceptualizing your SaaS idea, you're stress testing it before you waste months building the wrong product. With that said, let's go into principle number 3, SaaS idea number 3. And be sure to smash that like button if you haven't already. It really does mean the world to us. So systems of record, the best example of this is pretty much any CRM. And though CRM market is so huge, there's so many CRMs, but everyone knows it. So it's a great example. I do think there's a massive SaaS idea in 2023 for this. So CRM, the engagement model is very clear, right? Like it's like do stuff anywhere, like whether it's on the computer or outside, you do a sales meeting, you ship a widget, you close a transaction, and then you go into the system of record and you write it down. And over time, it has become a case where you do a bunch of work in the system of engagement and it writes it down in the system of record for you. And so you're still doing the work, and then it gets written in the system of record. But still, most CRMs, the engagement model is really in 2.0, this is SaaS 2.0, you're basically just doing stuff and then you write it down, you data entry it, right? And there's armies of people doing data entry in some cases. And sometimes your highest paid people are doing data entry into these systems so you can actually get the analytics out of the system of decision, and you get the picture. What would a massive SaaS idea look like in SaaS 3.0? Well, the answer is pretty simple, and hopefully by now you're starting to see the pattern in this. If you're starting to see the pattern in this and you want to guess and you want to make this fun, go ahead and put it in the comments below, pause the video, put it in the comments below, and then come back. So instead of doing stuff and then writing it down, let's just say there was a CRM. This is CRM 3.0. And literally it's like, listen to my Zoom calls and emails and update my pipeline for me. So the traditional thing for a CRM is, you have your sales meeting, you write the email, you follow up, maybe you went in person, and then you come back and you update your CRM. Like, what's the next step? What stage is it in? What do we do? What's the probability of closing? What's the deal amount? A 3.0 version of this could be, hey, just listen in on my sales meeting and my emails and the follow-ups and what the customer is saying. And based on that, update the stage, update the pipeline, update the probability to close, tell me what the next best step is, and just update my CRM for me. All of a sudden, system of record becomes self-improving, self-healing, self-predicting what needs to happen next, and just does it for you. Now, it's not replacing the salesperson, but it ends up being true AI that helps do your job more effectively. And that could be, in fact, that is going to be the SaaS 3.0 CRM, guaranteed. And the power in this, you can start to see where all 3 of these start to meld together as SaaS 3.0 happens. In a way, in SaaS 2.0, we were building the system of decision, we were building a system of engagement, we were building a system of record, but because of the transformation to SaaS 3.0, all 3 of these essentially become one core platform because it just looks at the data and does it for you. The workflow, the integrations, the data sync, the analytics, it's all in one smart brain, and it's just doing a bunch of work, and it's allowing you to actually do what you do best. And that's the power of this massive shift that's happening. So now you know the 3 core ideas that are going to be massive. The SaaS ideas are going to be massive in 2023. And there are different permutations of this idea that you can extrapolate into, because I also showed you the principles around it. So to recap, here are the 3 golden types of SaaS: system of decision, a system of engagement, a system of record. If you look at each of these 3 domains, there's gonna be a massive shift from SaaS 2.0 to 3.0, where 3.0 is about just do it for me. And so whereas before you had to go in and search for a question, pick an answer, and then go do it, it could be ask a question and just says, here's the best answer, and you hit a button to just do it for you. Whereas before you used to schedule the content and then you'd publish it for you and then give you the analytics and to make decisions on what the next one is. It just looks at your best content and writes 5 tweets for you and schedules them for you. Before you had to do a bunch of stuff and then you had to write down exactly what you did. Now it just listens on what you're doing and then just writes down and updates everything for you. That's the big shift that's happening, and that's why these 3 ideas are gonna be massive in 2023. Now you know what my 3 big ideas for 2023 are. What you may not know is how do you apply these principles to actually launch your SaaS business, to really hone in on your idea. If you are a pre-revenue founder and you're really honing in on your idea and you wanna launch it the right way, you wanna make sure you're building the right product, you wanna get initial conversations going, you wanna drive to initial revenues, then I encourage you to check out my 10-point SaaS business checklist. It's 10 questions that you should answer to make sure you don't waste months building the wrong product and you are capitalizing on these big opportunities that I just highlighted for you. It's completely free. Just go to tkkader.com/SaaS-checklist. tkkader.com/SaaS-checklist. I'll also link to it below. Also, if you got value from this video, please smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just means the world to me and my team. Put a lot of love into these videos. I also drop an episode like this every Sunday with actionable strategies and tactics from the trenches, from actually having been a founder and still I'm a founder and serving over 250 founders globally in my coaching programs. This is literally from the trenches. I think about this deeply. And I drop an episode every Sunday based on our latest thinking. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon. You'll get notified every single time I drop an episode. If you're part of a WhatsApp group, a Slack group, an email list with other founders and potential founders that would get value from this video, please share this with them. It'll just mean the world to us. We put a lot of love in these videos. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. When you are with us, yours is gonna be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you in the next episode or inside that 10-point SaaS business checklist where I give you more details on how to really build and launch a SaaS business and to capitalize on these amazing trends that are happening around SaaS 2.0. See you later.